Hi everyone, and welcome back to our lessons dedicated to helping you avoid some common vocabulary mistakes. In this series of lessons, I'm sharing some of the most common mistakes most of my students are making in areas such as vocabulary, grammar, and of course, pronunciation. I want these lessons to be an opportunity to learn from other people's mistakes, especially those mistakes that you might be repeating. Let me remind you that this channel is a platform for learning and development. So any comments, suggestions, and feedback are greatly appreciated. I urge you to start sharing ideas and opinions and turn this channel into a community of learners for discussing different business English topics. Okay, so let's dive into today's lesson. Today, we will continue our search for common mistakes and dive into 5 common sentence structure mistakes that might be holding you back from sounding as professional as you would like. These are simple mistakes to fix, and once you do, you will notice a big improvement in how other people perceive your English communication skills. Mistake number 1 happens when you translate words and sentences directly from your native language into English. While it might look like a quick solution, this approach often leads to awkward or incorrect phrasing that doesn't align with how native English speakers communicate. For example, some of my students may say, "We must do an effort to complete the project," while the correct sentence is, "We must make an effort to complete the project," because in English, we make an effort and we don't do an effort. This difference in verb usage makes the incorrect sentence sound unnaturally and also potentially confusing. Here's another one. "I am in agreement with your proposal." Now, you can fix this in 2 ways, actually. You can either say, "We are in agreement," or "I agree with your proposal." The truth is that the phrase "in agreement" is grammatically correct, but quite formal and less commonly used in verbal communication. Whereas if you just say, "I agree with this," it is concise, it's modern, and also appropriate for any business situation. How about this one? "The task must be finished until Friday." What's the mistake here? Yes, it's the preposition. Now, I've dedicated an entire lesson to prepositions, since misusing prepositions can change the entire meaning of a sentence. In this case, the correct preposition is by. In English, by is used to indicate a deadline, while until suggests a duration or a continuous action up to a certain point. And here is one last example. "She explained me the process yesterday." The correct sentence is, "She explained the process to me yesterday." The verb explain requires the object of the explanation to come first, followed by the preposition to before mentioning the actual person. Without to, the sentence structure is grammatically incorrect. Now, let's talk about run-on sentences. A run-on sentence happens when you don't break your ideas into separate thoughts. This makes the sentence too long, and often it becomes confusing and hard for the other person to understand. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're writing an email to a client or to a colleague, and you might write something like this. "I went to the store and I bought this and I went home." This sentence could be clearer and more professional if you separate the ideas. If you don't break the sentence into smaller pieces, it sounds like you're rambling and your audience may lose track of what you are saying. So a better way to say this is, "I went to the store to buy this, then I went home." Look at another example. I have been working on this project all day and I am tired and I need to take a break. Way too long. Instead, say, I have been working on this project all day. I'm tired, so I need to take a break. How about this one? We can start the meeting when everyone arrives and we will discuss the agenda and then make decisions. Nope. It's better to say, we can start the meeting when everyone arrives. Full stop. We'll go over the agenda and make decisions. So by splitting out the sentences into smaller, clearer parts, you're making your ideas easier to follow. And it also helps your listener or your reader understand the key points quickly. So try to avoid overloading your sentences with too many ideas, and when in doubt, break the sentence into smaller chunks. Use punctuations like commas, periods, and semicolons to separate your thoughts. This will make your speech or writing clearer and, of course, more professional. Now, in business English, it's also important to choose your words carefully, as using the same words too often can make your communication sound very repetitive and lazy. Mistake number 3 refers to words like very and really, but they are very common and they do weaken the message if overused. For example, in a business email, you might write, "The weather is very, very cold." While this sentence is technically correct and it makes sense, it kind of sounds repetitive and it doesn't add much value. Instead, you can use more precise vocabulary to make your point stronger. You could say, "The weather is freezing." Okay, the same rule would apply if you wanted to say, "I am very, very tired." There is actually one word that you could use instead. The word exhausted. So just say, "I'm exhausted." Okay, when you find yourself using very or really, stop and think about whether there's a stronger word that you can use instead of these words. Here's a great list of stronger adjectives that you could use to make your communication more powerful and also more concise. Let's take a look at them. Instead of saying very, very happy, you can say delighted. Instead of really important, say crucial. Instead of very good, say outstanding. Instead of very angry, say furious. Instead of really excited, you can say thrilled. Instead of very special, you can use the word exceptional. Instead of very tired, as we said, say exhausted. Instead of very detailed, you can say comprehensive. Instead of really hard, you can say challenging. And instead of really creative, you can use the word innovative. The key is to expand your vocabulary and replace weak words with more descriptive ones. This will make your writing and your speaking sound much more professional. Another common mistake is placing key words in the wrong part of the sentence, which can confuse your audience and make you sound less fluent. For example, some of my students say, "We will review the proposal together tomorrow afternoon." Now, the key part of this sentence is the time reference, so the words tomorrow afternoon. This is why we should put these words in the beginning of this sentence. So what we should be saying is, tomorrow afternoon, we will review the proposal together. Doesn't that sound better? Look at another example. We gave to his manager the update during the meeting. What did we give the manager? The update. So this is the key word that needs to come first. We gave the update to his manager during the meeting. Pay attention to the placements of words like only, just, and also. Placing them in the wrong spot can completely change the meaning of your sentence. And last but not least, look out for double negatives. A double negative is when you use two negative words in a sentence, which can confuse your meaning. In English and in many other languages, a double negative usually makes a positive, which may not be what you intended to say. So if you say, I don't need no help, it's incorrect because it's a double negative. Don't and no make it sound like you're saying that you do need help, which kind of contradicts your initial message. So you'd better say, I don't need any help. Here's another one. I can't hardly wait for the meeting. When you need to be saying, I can hardly wait for the meeting. How would you correct this sentence? Let's take a look at another one. He hasn't received no feedback yet. Exactly. Use the word any, preferably. So he hasn't received any feedback yet. Double negatives can make your sentences sound awkward or unclear. It's best to avoid them entirely, if possible, especially in your business communication. Okay, so instead of using these double negatives, focus on using a single negative word like no, not, or any. For example, I don't have any questions, or I don't need any assistance, or I cannot attend the meeting. So there you have it. Those were 5 common phrasing and sentence structure mistakes that can make your business English sound awkward and unclear. By avoiding these mistakes, you will be able to communicate more professionally and confidently in your workplace environment. Remember, think in English and don't translate from your native language. Break up run-on sentences into smaller, more clear ones. Use stronger adjectives instead of overusing words like very or really. Pay attention to where you place keywords and, of course, avoid those double negatives. If you enjoyed this video and found these tips helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and colleagues. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.